my honorable colleagues in Congress, thank you for this opportunity to defend myself and clarify some facts. To the members of the press who took offense in my social media post, I sincerely apologize. Sensitive information has been removed. I understand that the media endeavored to get my side of the story. I acknowledge your efforts. I'm sorry and I could have handled it better. Tayo na mga kongresista, ang trabaho natin gumawa ng batas, mag-request ng pondo. Pag naaprubahan, dumidiretso sa DPWH, makasama sa gobyerno. Huwag natin payagan na magwagi ang kasinungalingan at maling pagbibigay ng impormasyon. Alam naman natin, sa puso at isip natin ang punot dulo ng lahat ng ito. Nasa konsensya na ng bawat isa sa atin kung tayo ay naging bahagi ng lahat ng usaping ito.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the Honorable Richard Gomez to rise on a question of personal and collective privilege.
Is there any objection? The chair here is none. Representative Richard Gomez is recognized. You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues in Congress. Thank you for this opportunity to defend myself and clarify some facts. To the members of the press who took offense in my social media post, I sincerely apologize. Sensitive information has been removed. I understand that the media endeavored to get my side of the story. I acknowledge your efforts. I'm sorry and I could have handled it better. Ladies and gentlemen, when President Bongbong Marcos called the attention of public servants and contractors involved in faulty flood control projects, I considered the following as his objectives. Number one, to finally put an end to the debilitating floods that we continue to experience nationwide. And two, to restore integrity and accountability in public service. I could not agree more with the President that we as a nation have suffered enough due to the rampant floods and that the time to fix this is long overdue. Sadly, my friends, the floods we experienced in the past 2 weeks are expected to remain or occur according to Pag-asa's latest forecast. Now, while fixing our flooding issue needs to be top priority for government today, Mayor Bernie Tacoy of Matago, Leyte exploits this vital topic by sensationalizing false information to the media. Now let me clarify the facts. In an interview with RMN Tacloban, Mayor Tacoy complained that the Matago flood control project was destroyed due to substandard materials, much as he admitted that the project was still ongoing and unfinished. This fact somehow got lost in translation as articles and posts were written on the same subject. To set the facts straight, we asked the DPWH 4th District of Leyte, and they clarified that the reason why the flood control wall was damaged is because the project is still ongoing. Hindi pa po tapos. Nagsimula ang proyekto in February of this year at matatapos pa lang sa Nobyembre. Kakatapos pa lang po ng kalagitnaan ng paggawa ng flood control na yan. And I will explain later why this is very critical. But second, Mayor Tacoy complained that the LGU was not consulted. This is very misleading because with DPWH projects, ladies and gentlemen, the agency is required to coordinate and inform the LGU. Kaya nga po makikita nyo sa picture na yan, no? Sinasabi niya hindi rin nakipag-coordinate ang DPWH. Pero in January 16, ayan, may coordination meeting sila. Andiyan pa yung grid coordinates para malaman niya exactly kung yan nga ba yung opisina nitong Mayor Tacoy na ito. He complained in an exchange with local press that the DPWH did not get a building permit. Now, we asked the DPWH and they said that the building permits are not required for buildings. These are required for buildings only, pero hindi po ito building. Flood control po ito. There is no need for an occupancy permit because no one lives in a flood control project. What is needed, though, is a certificate of non-coverage from the DENR, which was procured months prior to the start of the project, September of 2024. Nagsimula ang proyekto in February of 2025. Now let's look at exactly what happened during last week's heavy rains that caused a portion of the flood control walls to fall. Noong August 25 po, napakalakas ho ng ulan. In fact, yung DILG kinansel ang trabaho, kinansel ang eskwela. Napakalakas ng ulan, bumaha ng gusto sa Matagob. Dahil ang Matagob, napapaligiran po yan ng dam at yan po ang naging catch basin ng distrito namin. And again, yun ang nag-cause na nasira ang flood control kasi nga, hindi pa tapos, hindi pa completed ang project. Now we asked, what was that portion that was not yet finished? When we searched for answers, we found that a certain element, ang tawag po na doon ay lock. Lock was the portion missing. Para sa ating mga hindi engineer, itong tinatawag nilang lock ay yung parte ng flood wall na lumalaban sa lakas ng presyo ng tubig. With this element still missing, kasi nga hindi pa tapos yung project, the walls were still not fortified as per plan to withstand expected water pressure. In Leyte, we have the so-called Hibulagnan Dam, situated in the municipality of Villaba, katabi ito ng Matagob, and it splits into two tributaries. At the bottom of all this, ito na po yung Pagsangaan River sa Ormoc City. This is a wider river that can accommodate large volumes of water. This is where we want the waters of Matagob to lead coming from the dam para ma-divert lahat ng flooding water sa Matagob. I want to inform each and every member of this house that in the district I represent, we have 41 river systems that make up the drainage system of our district. Napakalaki. Now, a visit of the actual project is in question. We'll know the beginning and end of this 322-meter stretch of flood control wall. The subject portion is 25 meters that was damaged during the heavy rains. Tandaan po natin, hindi pa tapos ang proyekto nito at nakaschedule pa lang ito matapos by November 27. So let us all acquaint ourselves with this procedural document. Ang tawag po nila dito sa engineers at saka sa mga arkitekto ang punch list. Tinatanong natin, paano natin malalaman na tapos na talaga ang proyekto? There is a checklist specific to a project that DPWH inspectors go through to make sure that projects are done per design. Each project should meet the requirements before being handed over to the LGU. And this process was faithfully done for all flood control projects in the 4th District of Leyte since 2022. I factually say none of the completed projects in my district have been damaged except for this one na ongoing at hindi pa tapos. And I invite anyone with any doubt about any anomalies in flood control projects in the district I represent to scrutinize the documents and actual projects. Moreover, the COA had already inspected this very project. Findings would be available from the DPWH or COA. If ever any verified anomalies surface, just in case, well, I would gladly face the issue. But until then, I highly recommend, especially to Mayor Takoy of Matagob, to please exercise caution. The lack of accountability and integrity of some public servants and contractors have led to the burgeoning problem of persistent floods. Some, but not certainly all. In fact, accountability and integrity of work must be expected across all professions. Not just us lawmakers, and we cannot simply weaponize popular issues like this to make baseless accusations on just anybody, on just anyone. And therefore, proper verification of facts must be exercised. This is the only responsible thing to do. Tayo na mga kongresista, ang trabaho natin gumawa ng batas. Ang sunod ginagawa natin trabaho, mag-request ng pondo. Pag naaprubahan, dumidiretso sa DPWH. Sila nagpapabidding, binibigay sa mga natural, winning bidders. Pero bago magsimula ang nasabing proyekto ng DPWH, dumadaan sa coordination to sa mga LGU, kung saan gagawin ang proyekto at sinisigurong kumukuha ng necessary government documents for the purpose of constructing government projects. Kaya napakalaking kalokohan ang ginawa ni Mayor Takoy na paglinlang sa press at sa tao ukol sa ongoing flood control program. Dahil sa misinformation na binigay niya, nilunok ito ng publiko as gospel truth sa lahat ng mga lumabas na interview niya sa radyo at sa TV. Mga kaibigan, mga kasama sa gobyerno, huwag natin payagan na magwagi ang kasinungalingan at maling pagbibigay ng impormasyon. Then comes the issue of ethics. I looked up the meaning of ethics online and it says, ethics is a study of what is morally right and wrong, good and bad, involving systems of moral principles and values. It includes examining our values, principles, and purposes to determine how we should live and interact with others, ensuring fairness, respect for rights, and the minimization of harm. This was my contention when I called out Mayor of Baguio City, Benji Magalong, when he was issuing blanket statements implying that all congressmen in this house are corrupt. By all means, Mista, call out corruption. That is both a responsibility and a moral duty. Tutulungan kita, labanan natin ng korupsyon. But one must draw the line when it comes to generalization. It is responsible to make the fault of one, it is irresponsible to make the fault of one apply to all. Balitarin po natin ang lamesa. Kung merong corrupt na mayor, tama ba sabihin natin na lahat ng mayor ay corrupt din? Of course not. The answer is very elementary. Now, dito sa sarili nating bahay, Deputy Speaker Ronnie Puno would fault me for defending myself from baseless attacks and cite the same as an ethical issue. I've been asked about the statements of DS Puno. It is good that he touched on the issue of ethics. I agree. The House should step up and lead by example. In fact, this should have been done a long time ago. Let us go back to where this whole trouble started. Saan ba nagsimula ito? Saan ba ang punot dulo nito? Anomalous flood control program. Sa budget ng presidente, kinailangan pa niya mag-veto. Kasi nga hindi na reflective sa kanyang vision. Mabuti na rin na nanggaling kay DS Puno mismo ang issue ng ethics dahil gusto niya na isa lang sa ethics committee ang kapwa niya, kongresista. Mabuti siguro kung balikan natin ang punot dulo nitong buong kontrobersya na hinaharap natin. Itong flood control na inabuso ng iilan pero sinagasaan ng lahat. Huwag po nating lahatin. Kung may ethics committee man lang, isa lang din natin yung kumate ng budget. Huwag na natin simulan sa 2022. Kung gusto nyo, kahit nung 2025 lang. The same standard should apply to all. No sacred cows. You speak of ethics when one rises to defend his name from baseless allegations. All the more ethics should come into play when a whole institution is tarnished over the lack of accountability of some. Ladies and gentlemen, to end this privileged speech of mine, in 1991, thousands of people died in Ormoc because of a flash flood. 8,000 people perished in 45 minutes. But under our watch, we have gone to great lengths to ensure that all projects are not substandard and all are above board. Prior to 2010, bago kami umupo sa Congress, marami kami naabutan na tulay na walang sapa, na walang tubig sa ilalim, pero nilagyan na lang ng tulay. Dear colleagues, no less than the President of the Philippines has called out and exposed the issue on flood control. Alam naman natin, sa puso at isip natin ang punot dulo ng lahat ng ito. Nasa konsensya na ng bawat isa sa atin kung tayo ay naging bahagi ng lahat ng usaping ito. Dagan kayong salamat, Mr. Speaker. Magandang hapon po sa lahat. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Gomez. Majority Leader,
Mr. Speaker, I move that we refer the speech of the Honorable Richard Gomez to the Committee on Rules for proper action.
is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved.